Hello VC. So this is the second part of my best of 2020 series. Yeah, this is the best archival reissue releases, at least according to me. A little bit of caveat. There were great reissues in 2020 that I don't include there because I have the original. So it doesn't really make sense for me. So this is this is objectively amongst the stuff that I don't already have. It's not like a historian perspective. But yes, so this will be a shorter one. It's I chose 13 releases. Why 13? There is a reason, but you have to figure it out yourself. So we start with Pale Cocoon. This is the reissue of a Japanese tape from '84. And yeah, it's such a beautiful recording. I remember I played this on the previous video during the year, the past few months, and a lot of the people who listen to this video seem to resonate quite a lot with this. And I'm happy to say that this hasn't, the effect hasn't faded with time. It's still a record I really much think will be one of the timeless entries of that year for me, as far as I'm concerned. Well, it is from '84 and it still sounds yeah, timeless. It's a double LP, by the way. There were I think there were a trio, I'm not sure, it doesn't say here. Anyways, there's no special order in this, contrary to the 30 albums of 2020, original releases. This is just me playing these records. My favorite record of 2020 was Hilary Wood's Birthmark album. The personal on that recording was exceptional, and one of the small details that probably makes a difference was the mastering from Stéphane Mathieu, German composer who stopped doing music as far as I understood, and he's been focusing on mastering, and he's done quite a few releases in the past 3 years or so, 3-4 years. And this is his first album. Würmlösch Variationen. This was released in 2000 on Ritournelle, a German label that pioneered the click and cuts scene. So this is very subtle, low key. These are like basically the end of noise. What is at the end of sound? When there's just frequencies, like ghost frequencies, like a distant echo from the original sound. This is maybe not the music, the most spectacular music. And I must confess that when it was released first, I didn't get it. I thought it was really a bunch of nothing happening. Or maybe a little bit precious. That was my sentiment about it back then. I have a very different perspective about it nowadays. Just letting your ear investigate all the frequencies contained in this extremely minimal piece. This is Variation 1, first variation. By the way, the pressing of this is so good. There's an insert, doesn't tell you much apart from what I just told you. Funnily enough, he didn't do the mastering himself on this, which is kind of usual, but since he's that good, that's kind of the theme of the album, by the way. Like, there's 6 tracks and they're all quite different. But I think this one is kind of really the core of what this project is about, with all these glitches coming in. So Stéphane Mathieu. This is an album I've recommended quite a lot of people. I first discovered it in 2015 in a shop in Canada. I was touring there, and all my time off is always spent in the record shops. And we went to this jazz record shop, and the stuff I was interested in looking for made the dude who was running the shop show me a record. And it was a $2,000 record, so that was quite a lot for a record I had never heard before. Never heard of, never heard. He played it to me and I thought, shit, I got the cash actually. I just got paid for this gig. And I almost considered getting it. But I thought, I know nothing about it. I trust him. The dude was legit, and it was like a superb copy of that. 2-3 years later, I deeply regretted not getting it. This is the Black Unit trio. Their one and only album on Salam Records. I believe this was recorded in 1968. Anyways, this is a pure free jazz album, a trio, kind of unusual instrumentation, since you get the alto, but you get cello, cello or bass, and percussions. I believe one of the members of the trio, his dad used to be playing for Louis Armstrong. But for years this record was unobtainable because you couldn't find copies in good shape, and when you did, it costed a fortune. So basically that $2,000, that was kind of a sweet deal I got that I didn't realize. A big reissue, 2,000 copies for this kind of music, for an unknown band. And I think they did a second press of that with a different cover. But yeah, this is a cult record. I think this is the kind of record you'd expect people like First and More from Sonic Youth to be one of his favorite records ever. Maybe I'm using that as an example, maybe I actually read something about that. Yes, not for the faint-hearted. Next is Torlindval Jule. I played this song in another video of mine. This is an album that came out in 2004, I believe, or 6, I'm not sure. 2006, yeah. And this was reissued for the first, or issued for the first time on vinyl last year. Torlindval comes from like the apocalyptic folk scene, but he's never really been a huge part of it. He's really carved his own niche. It's quite unique. I'm not a fan of all his records, but when I am, there's really nothing to compare. This is just sublime. He does his own artwork as well. The cover you saw. Yeah, he's a graphic artist.
Tuesday's rain melts the snow. Freezing over.
Very cool cover, and there's an inner sleeve with more artwork of his in theme.
Watching people board the train.
It's a very cool design with all these
Passing blindly
metallic embossed
through the rain.
signs, and here the stars and the moon. Night music, if there ever was. Now this record is pretty special. This is Tibor Shamzo, Snapshot from the Island. This is his first album. This is a composer, modern composer from Hungary, I believe, yeah. This was first released in '86. On Leo Records. It's a label from the UK run by a Russian that was specialized in modern classical. And I think I read that he just happened to hear Tibor Shamzo's music, and I need to release that. Back then, the way they had to cut the record, they used I don't remember exactly what kind, but it wasn't lacquer, and they basically, yeah, the tape the music was recorded on, that's it. It's not about the lacquer. Now I remember. It's about the tape, the original master tape. They had to erase the music that was there before, which was like string quartet or like string music, very minimal, and you could still hear some echoes and artifacts from that in the final recording, which was actually something that Tibor Shamzo embraced. And so this was reissued by himself last year, apparently using the original stampers that he found. They probably made a clone of them in a way, but yeah, apparently it was one of the first records to be pressed in Hungary again since since they stopped pressing records there. He was also the one who pressed the last record in Hungary before the last machine got dismantled and shipped away. lyrics on this are more abstract than this, but yeah. Now, something quite unexpected. In 1998, Coil recorded an album called The Astral Disaster, which was recorded in an old prison under a bridge of London, under the level of water of the river of the Thames. And that album was released for subscription. Early days of the internet, and like they didn't get many orders, so they pressed according to orders, and there was about 100 copies on the order, which made it instantly one of the highest, the biggest collectible of Coil catalog, even back then when they were all there and alive and and active. And so they quickly released a regular version of it with different mixes. Very different mixes. It's basically two different albums, and so for years the first version was the grail of Coil, and it got reissued like maybe 10 years ago, a little less than 10 years ago, like between 8 and 10 years ago, and so instantly the regular version became the collectible because it was quite limited as well. And since then, 2 albums of extra alternative takes and discarded versions or tracks got issued. One 2 years ago, that was pretty good, and this one. Astral Disaster Sessions Unfinished Musics Volume 2. To the side long, The Mothership and the Fatherland early mix, which was already the central piece of the original album. But I find myself like this version. It's quite different. Much more stripped down, and it's just magnificent. So you got John Balance on lyrics and vocals, Obsidian Mirrors, Moogs and Scream Generator, Peter Christopherson on Macintosh and chimes, Drew McDowell on Moog and Thought Forms, Paul Sandra on Hammond, Mellotron and synths, and Gary Raman from Sundial, the shoegaze band, rock band, who commissioned this, the original recording, and whose label actually released this. He's playing on Haunted Blues, sitar, guitar, and backward reverbs. This was mixed by him. Evagoras Karageorgis, his album Kent Matha, Kenneth Mata. We're not even halfway from this. It's just such a good psychedelic, like sex magic track. The mother, what is it called again? The mothership and the fatherland. Early mix, yes. So Evagoras Karagiorgis is from Cyprus, and this is the first electronic music record from Cyprus, recorded in '88, only released on CD for the first time in 2017, and issued there for the first time on vinyl last year in Cyprus. It's on a Cypriot label, highly influenced by Terry Riley and Steve Reich, but also by the local folklore. Very cool design. Was the release of the second box set of the reissues of Soviet France. Soviet France is a British label, an English group actually, that started, I believe, in 1980 or 81. I got all their records, so I didn't get the box sets. The first box set, Chasse, Volume 1, I think it was like a 14 or 15 record set. Fortunately, there was a few unreleased stuff, and fortunately they released that separately. Chasse 2, the volume 2 of their recordings, had a little more stuff that had never been issued on vinyl, so I had to buy quite a lot from that. And it was all great, but this one, this is an unreleased album from '84, quite foreshadowing, in my opinion, their best record, which is Shouting at the Ground. This one is called The End of Everything, the Beginning of Everything. Where is it? Let me see. Yeah, no, The End of Nothing, the Beginning of Everything. sounds are, their music is has a very mineral quality. It's really about these sounds from which harmonies, sometimes melodies, manage to slip from. That's the best way to describe it, that, for me at least. And they have a very interesting history, since the lineup has changed so much. They still exist and still release music, but I don't think there's a single member of the original band. It's basically more like a collective, an art collective, sound art collective. And volume 3 is gonna come out in the coming few months with lots of unreleased archives, which means I'm gonna get it all probably this time. Now something quite special. Incursions, Everyday Madness, trial versions. Basically, this is 3 tracks, 3 unreleased tapes of his archives. Incursion is this amazing British composer. He's kind of right in between Moondog and Terry Riley in a way. He did like jazz, improv, big band, ethno, big band, collage, noise. He died 10 years ago or so, maybe a bit more. And he did the soundtrack for quite a few horror movies from the 70s, like the Doctor Five movies. It always has pastoral quality, and even if this is like a very experimental collage, you can still hear his very melancholic pastoral quality that is so British. This piece is called Electronic. It's not that much electronic, it's mostly, yeah, like a collage. Johnny Trunk on his label Trunk Records has been releasing the shit out of Incursions for 20 years now, over 20 years maybe, and that's been basically the greatest achievement of his label. Even he's released lots of fantastic recordings, often related to library music. Incursions did quite a lot of library music soundtracks. He did for KPM, for Bruton, yeah. So good. I love the contrast. Now something interesting, since this artist, she was featured in my top 30 of new releases. This is the wonderful Beatrice Ferreira, French musique concrète, star, or she's become so. Like for the longest time, her work was kind of under the radar. Some CDs, but she's been active since the 70s. This is a piece from 78 called. Let me read it to you. This is called Echoes, composed at the Offer Studio using the voice in memoriam of Mercedes Cornu, whose voice you can hear. This work was composed using 4 Latin American popular songs, 2 from Argentina, 2 Brazilian, which were sung a cappella by Mercedes Cornu. These songs have been broken down into short and long sounds, syllabs, breathings, coughs, etc. I use only different techniques of tape, splicing, mixing and manual shakes on these vocal elements in order to keep the original timbre and quality of Mercedes' voice. This features 2 other works, L'autre, ou le chant des marécages, the other, or the swamps song, and l'autre rive, the other shore. Essential, really essential music concrète archival release, but don't mind that it's an archival recording. This is just fantastic music. Not the best pressing, but such a wonderful recording. This is Don Cherry, the New York Total Music Company, live in Frankfurt, 1968. This is Don Cherry's. The lineup was made for me, basically. This is Don Cherry with Steve Lacy, Carl Berger on vibra and piano, Carl Berger, Kent Carter on double bass, and maybe the best French drummer, Jacques Tolot. I mean, I saw it online and I only ordered it 2 weeks later, so I think people didn't realize, me, myself included, how limited that was. So this is a live with an audience, so that's why the sound is as it is, but for me it's good enough just to hear Jacques Tolo, Carl Berger, Don Cherry, Ken Carter, and my favorite Steve Lacy together. The tracks are quite different from each other, but it's like it's free jazz, definitely, with the Don Cherry twist. Or yeah, no, I kind of expected that to be issued at one point or another, but not that soon. This is Pauline Oliveros with Stuart Dempster and Panayotis, singer or vocalist. I like Pauline Oliveros, but I love Stuart Dempster. Stuart Dempster plays the trombone and didgeridoo, Pauline Oliveros the accordion, and so this is a deep listening project, recorded in a cistern, like a water reserve. Stuart Dempster did a CD on New Albion, I believe, called the Cistern Chapel, which is one of the greatest recording of sound ever, in my opinion. Here they use the natural reverberation of the location. This is the first track called Lear. So Stuart on trombone and didgeridoo, Pauline on accordion and voice, and Panayotis on voice. This was recorded in '88, I believe. It's a double LP. With some testimony or some notes from the three of them. So this is like a masterwork of just intonation and minimalism, of course, and drone music, because that's what Pauline's music turned out to be, even Stuart. And the pricing is quite good, but I used the wrong product right before to clean it, so it sounds more crackly than it should. So lots of old names in this list. Lots of people that have been covered before by me and lots of others. So Don Cherry, Basil Kershin, Beatrice Ferrara, Soviet France. Yeah, Evagoras Karageorgis. He was totally new to me. Coil wasn't new. Even Tibor Gemso wasn't new to me. What else did we have? Like the Black Unity Trio, legendary. Stéphane Mathieu, Pale Cocoon was legendary as well. The last record I'm gonna play for this stream, for this video, that was completely new to me. Gets just more and more intense, by the way. It just grows and takes all the space. But you'll have to figure that for yourself. As we now enter Valentina Goncharova, the first ever retrospective of her work. This is a Russian-born from Kiev composer. She was born in the 50s, I believe, and she relocated to Estonia in the mid-80s. This is music focusing, 87 to 91. Volume 2 is about to be released. It should have been released quite a while ago, but lots of delays. This is a double LP. The new volume is only a 1 LP set. So this was a huge revelation for me. I wouldn't say that I like all the tracks on this, but there's at least 3-4 that are like worth the price of admission for one of these alone. Like this is stunning, because she comes from the academia. She studied free jazz in the 60s, 70s in Russia, and modern composition. And this is the stuff she did by herself in Estonia. Reissues, archival recordings from 2020. In my opinion, the strongest of them all that I didn't really have the original of. That would be the Tibor and Black Unity. Oh yeah, I forgot in the list. And the Torlindval also well covered territory. So I might do one last video for this series of the best of 2020. I'm not sure yet. It might happen, but if not, that was I think it was a pretty good series, and I hope this introduced you to some records that you feel that you might just need them in your life now. And if not, sorry I let you down. But yeah, 2020 was a very strange year, but it was the end of something rather than the beginning. Next year, the releases from this year, that's something completely different. You'll see in a few months. Well, you probably know it yourself, like you don't need me for that, but the stuff that was recorded in 2020, when this music was released, reissued. Anyways, yes, enough of the dinner table philosophy. But I hope you enjoyed that, and if not, you can always unsubscribe. Thank you.